Welcome to the fourth episode in this series of 6 on the therapeutic use of vitamins. Do I need vitamins? And I think if you've been watching all along, you will understand that it isn't just about vitamins. Today's class is going to be all about the major minerals. Next class will be about the micro minerals, the minerals that we just need a little bit of. And even though we just need a little bit of them, they are very important and sometimes initiate the ability for the body to uptake some of these major minerals. So the deficiency of minerals is actually greater of a concern than vitamins. And people talk about vitamins, I take vitamins. It's actually minerals. And we're going to talk about why that has occurred and why it's so detrimental to health to lack these minerals, and how come doctors don't tell you about them, and why they pay attention to one but not the other, and how these minerals actually interact. So, hi, I'm Mary Bourne. I'm a traditional naturopath. I love sharing natural remedies with people. That's exactly what my YouTube channel is all about. Helping people understand how their body works is a once a month class that I do, and I hope that you view some of them, whatever tickles your fancy, so to speak. But these classes are to help people get informed. How can you make a good decision if you don't know all of the facts? And for so many years, we've depended on other people to tell us what we need, when in fact, we had better information inside our own body telling us what exactly it is that we need, but we didn't quite have all the tools to understand what the body was expressing. So hopefully through these classes, you will get a better understanding of that. You can reach me at my website, bornforhealth.com. And if you want to email me, it would be drmary@bornforhealth.com. So calcium, iron, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and silicon are the major minerals that we want to discuss in today's video. So let me just get set up here. And there we go. See if I can. There. So our food are mineral deficient. The popular fertilizer that people are encouraged to use is a formula of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and it's known as NPK. So these fertilizers do not replace the minerals taken from the soil by previous crops. So when corn is grown, for example, it uses up certain minerals in the soil. And when people just continuously put this nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on the plants, they really are not encouraging good soil health. And organic farmers have known for years that you have to feed the soil and put back nutrients so that the vegetables that are grown can uptake those minerals and be healthier for the plant as well as for the human that eats that plant or the animal that eats that plant. The use of toxic chemicals for weed and pest control has diminished the healthy microflora in the soil, which make minerals available to plants. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But I'm so pleased to hear that people are getting more into understanding the importance of using bacteria and microbes to encourage healthy soil. So like, for example, worm casting. People have been using worm casting in a lot of the videos that I watch on those people who want to become self-sufficient. And worm casting actually encourages good soil bacteria. So the result has been a dramatic decline in the mineral content of our food. And so back in 1936, that's almost 100 years ago, the Senate document 264 warned that the depletion of trace minerals in our soil would eventually lead to a national crisis and a dramatic increase in mineral deficiency diseases. Now, unfortunately, our government doesn't run to support the health of people. It runs on industry and economy. So the study concluded that countless human ills stem from the fact that impoverished soil of America no longer provides plant foods with the mineral elements essential to human nourishment and health. Now, we've known this for almost a century, and yet we are still dealing with this horrible influx of chemicals on our soil. Our foods are mineral deficient. The popular NPK fertilizers do not replace the minerals taken from the soil by previous crops. The use of chemicals for weed and pest control has diminished this and actually created a problem. Now, back in 2004, the Journal of the American College of Nutrition examined food composition changes from 1950 to 1999, recorded in the USDA food composition table. So there are scientists that are actually looking at the composition, what structures are available in the food, and they found 43 crops were examined showing the statistically reliable decline of 6 nutrients. The declines were observed in protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, riboflavin, and ascorbic acid. So vitamin B and vitamin C were also diminished. Now, most of us depend on food as our nutrition, as our well-being. We know that we are what we eat. We've talked about that for a long time. And if it's not available in these foods, could that be a factor in why we are so much fatter than we were almost a century ago? That the nutrients aren't available and our body recognizes that it needs to eat more in order to get those same valuable nutrients. So mineral salts. Alkaline minerals combine with acidic minerals to form salts. Now these occur naturally in foods. So we have sodium chloride, calcium phosphate, and magnesium sulfate. Now, when you use sodium chloride that has been bleached and removed of any source of mineral at all, you are eating something that is not healthy. What is recommended? Sea salt. And if it's bleached sea salt, it's not recommended. Calcium phosphate, which is found in bones and teeth. Magnesium. We need magnesium far more than we need calcium. Calcium is responsible for contraction. Magnesium is responsible for relaxation. So muscles do both. When you work a muscle, you tighten it and then you release it, and you tighten it and you release it. Well, if you don't have enough magnesium, then that muscle will go into spasm. And how many people deal with muscle spasms? A lot. So here are the list of alkaline and acidic minerals that our body uses, and they use in combination. And a lot of you may have used the salts that Highland creates, and those are based on this formula of acid and alkaline salts. So we have calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, manganese, and iron in the alkaline side. And on the acidic side, we have chloride, phosphorus, and sulfur. Now, proteins are very dependent on having the right minerals available in order to use them. Now, on the left, you have a diagram of a chlorophyll cell, and on the right, you have hemoglobin. And the only difference between them all, if you look at all the different configurations, is that the center molecule is magnesium in chlorophyll, whereas the central molecule in hemoglobin is iron. So minerals also occur in protein matrices in living tissue. One finds an iron molecule at the center of this protein called hema, and it's part of hemoglobin, which is blood. The magnesium molecule is found in the protein matrix of chlorophyll. That compound that makes green, the leaves green, and allows for photosynthesis. So that's how the plant gets energy. And often taking liquid chlorophyll can help with healthy blood and detoxification. So assimilation of minerals, during digestion, proteins are broken apart and minerals are released in ionic form. So now if you look over here, you can see that there are villi, lymph capillary network, which is your blood. So your blood and your lymph actually reside side by side. And then there's the blood vessel. Along with that is a mucosal lining, and this mucosal lining protects these things from going in together. Then there's a submucosal and a muscularis. So this shows the relationship between our skin and muscles. Now, transportation between each one depends on them crossing the intestinal membranes and through the blood. So very, very important to be able to have this transport system in place. And minerals do that. So many minerals require hydrochloric acid in the stomach to break bonds and release them for absorption. Now, if you do not have good digestion, you're not going to be able to break those minerals apart. You're not going to be able to get them where they need to go. So it's a good idea to take a mineral supplement with food, especially ones that are naturally high in that mineral as this increases absorption and utilization. And for some people like me, I need to take a food enzyme every time I eat so that I have the right elements there ready to break those minerals down that are in my food. So you never want to take antacids with food or right before or even right after, because this interrupts the ability for the stomach to produce hydrochloric acid. Apple cider vinegar can help the stomach digest better. So oftentimes people will take a couple of teaspoons or a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning, and that sets their stomach up for better digestion. And if you don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar, you can mix it with a little bit of honey, or you can put it in some tea. Find some way of taking it so that your digestion is better off. Now, many doctors recommend medicine to interrupt the stomach acid, and they don't understand the value of having this acid, that you really need it. I did a whole class on understanding digestion called Tummy Troubles, and I will link that in the description below, because I find that people have been told so much bad information about how their digestion works, and we need to clear that up. So let's talk about calcium. It is the most abundant mineral in the body, major mineral in bones and teeth, and it plays an important role in muscle contraction, heart action, nerve impulses, and blood clotting. So think of a balled up fist when you think of calcium. It's also an important alkalizer. And remember that for proper digestion, we actually need acid. So it's a popular mineral, but sometimes overused supplement. And we'll continue to talk about why it's been misunderstood and why it's been overused. So it also needs other vitamins and minerals for assimilation and utilization. So just taking a calcium supplement is not going to be the answer. So here are a list of all the nutrients needed to utilize calcium. Vitamin D. Now, not just any vitamin D. We actually need D3 to help uptake calcium. We need vitamin K. We need vitamin C, zinc, silica, boron, magnesium, vanadium. Also, remember the bonds that protein creates, and the fats, like essential fatty acids. So now, if you've been following this class, you know that RDA to me means really dumb amounts, because they are so out of touch with what our body actually needs that it's ridiculous. So the government says that the RDA for calcium is 1,000 milligrams per day for adults ages 19 to 50, and 1,300 milligrams per day for adults over 50. While higher amounts are needed by pregnant women and nursing mothers. Calcium intake in native cultures and among healthy populations in the world today averages between 1,500 and 2,500. So are they overdosing, or are they getting the right food that actually has calcium in it? So a good level for supplementation is 400 to 800 milligrams daily with magnesium, because remember the tight fist that calcium provides? Magnesium provides the open fist. So it's the contraction and relaxation that helps with muscles. And the fact that we are all so vitamin D deficient because we've been given the information that the sun is dangerous and that we need to protect our skin from the sun. So citrus bioflavonoids, vitamin C, is something that we are poorly deficient in because a lot of people have been recommending ascorbic acid as vitamin C, and really the bioflavonoids are what is necessary to actually contribute to calcium intake or uptake, I should say. And then there's vitamin K2. There's been a lot of information about that. So the more I understand about mineral deficiencies, the more I see the need to balance our body. And that is what naturopath does. They look at where are the imbalances and how can we get the body back into balance. So natural calcium supplementation. I am a huge fan of bone broth. Making bone broth is an excellent way to naturally supplement calcium and other minerals for healthy bones and joints. There's so much available in bone broth. And if you make bone broth and you put some apple cider vinegar in it, the acid from the vinegar actually helps to draw out that those minerals that are locked into the bones. Many green vegetables contain calcium that is easier to assimilate than calcium from pasteurized dairy. And oftentimes people who depend on getting calcium from their milk because the government has told them that, they're really not. They're getting the wrong kind of calcium, and that particular calcium, if you get the wrong kind and you don't break it down properly, that's what calcifies the arteries, and it causes a stiffening of the joints. So raw dairy, on the other hand, has enzymes in it, and they're a much better source of calcium. So this is my favorite calcium supplement. And the reason for it is that it contains vitamin C in citrus bioflavonoid, vitamin B6, B12. It also contains vitamin A, D, calcium, iron, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, copper, manganese, potassium, boron, horsetail stems. So it includes a lot of herbs along with betaine hydrochloride, which the body then turns into hydrochloric acid. It has digestive enzymes like papaya and pineapple fruit, has parsley, valerian, licorice. And I have put a link in the description below that if you follow the link, you'll get 25% off. And give it a try yourself, see what you think. But if you're eating healthy, you really don't need to do a calcium supplement. More than likely, you have to do a magnesium supplement. But magnesium is tricky because magnesium can cause loose stools. And we're going to go into magnesium in a little bit. So let's talk about iron. It's a major trace mineral. It's also a common nutrient deficiency. It's used to form hemoglobin or blood, the substance that transports oxygen in red blood cells. Lack of iron causes anemia. However, anemia can also be caused by deficiencies of other nutrients needed to utilize iron, particularly vitamin C, folate, and vitamin B12. Now, a lot of people have bound iron, and in order to break those bonds of iron so that the blood can send it to where it needs to be absorbed. Now, in order to do that, here we go again, hydrochloric acid. So this misnomer of having too much acid and causing acid indigestion is such a false understanding of how the body really works. So that's why the importance of these classes. We need to understand how our body works. And we realize that now, if you've been listening, that calcium isn't the thing you want to be taking necessarily unless you start with good digestion. None of this is going to be absorbed properly. So, excuse me. Let's talk about the indications of iron deficiency. Well, of course, there's anemia. There's food cravings for things like ice, paint, starch, clay, or dirt. Now, I can remember as a young woman, I had a friend who would eat her starch. And of course, back then I had no idea how the body worked. And so I couldn't tell her that she was iron deficient, and maybe I need to look into taking things like spinach and, food that would give her some healthy iron, and that would go away. Also, insomnia or disturbed sleep is a sign of iron deficiency. Increased intestinal inflammation, depression or apathy, reduced concentration, impaired mental skills, and irregular menstrual periods. So you add a lack of energy and irregular menstrual periods, you lose blood, and if your body isn't able to utilize the iron present in the body, then yeah, you're going to be iron deficient. Now, there's a wonderful tonic that the Chinese have created through traditional Chinese medicine, and Nature Sunshine has blood stimulating formula. And what it does is it helps to balance the body so that through herbs, the uptake of iron is more efficient. Excuse me. So iron deficiency is more common in women, obviously, than men because of the monthly loss of blood. However, men who have bound up iron are now being encouraged to give blood 3 times a year so that their blood loss will create a need for the body to make more blood. Well, that making more blood is what the women do, but it doesn't necessarily solve the problem of iron deficiency. So these nourishing tonics can help build the blood and help encourage the body to produce better blood. And it does it with the herbs of Dong Quai, Romania root, peony root, and many other adaptogenic herbs. Now, I have a lot of information on my website about adaptogenic herbs and how they support the nervous system and the immune system. And I like to think of adaptogenic herbs as those herbs that help us adapt. They help to create better balance with the body. So more about iron. If you look at it, there is an iron molecule, a hemi molecule, oxygen molecules, and a polypeptide chain. So these chains all interact. And if you don't have the ability to break that down, this is called the transport system. So it helps to transport iron with oxygen into the blood. And it does it with a polypeptide chain. Polypeptide, thinking digestion. So iron is very important for women because of monthly blood loss, but it also is important to release it from its bound state. Infections can cause iron loss. Obviously, if you injure yourself and you bleed, you're going to have iron loss. But excess iron causes excess oxidation, which is free radical damage. And so that's an important issue with iron as well. Now, the really dumb amounts for iron is 10 milligrams for adult men and 15 milligrams for adult women during childbearing years. And then after menopause, the RDA is 10 milligrams. Iron requires vitamin C, folate, and B12 for utilization. Iron is more easily absorbed from food sources. And iron supplementation. Well, of course, you want to avoid all the metallic iron supplements, as metallic iron is poorly absorbed and excess iron can be toxic. Now, what do I mean by metallic iron supplements? Well, all your cereals that have been boosted with iron actually have iron filings in them. You can crush them, hold a magnet to it, and uptake this metallic iron. So it's actually doing you absolutely no good. So if your diet is one that consists mainly of Cheerios and Frosted Flakes, you probably are a big candidate for this bound iron. Heme iron, which is found in red meat and liver, is absorbed much more efficiently. You know, you just can't get around. Unfortunately, animal is the best route to take for these particular things. Now, you can, if you're very dedicated, get it from vegetation, but it's not as easy as eating like red meat and liver, and they've been demonized. And it's one of the reasons that we are mineral deficient. And of course, you want to buy it from a grass-raised, fed, and finished animal. It really is important to get a quality meat. And actually, liver, you can get it ground and you can mix it in with other meats and you don't even know it's there. If you're not a fan of liver, there's wonderful recipes on the internet now on creating pates and different ways of kind of hiding it. And you don't really need a lot, but it's absorbed 35%. And then chelated iron supplements like ferrous fumarate and ferrous gluconate, only 3% of it is absorbed. So you have to take a lot more in supplement form than you do if you eat it in food source. And again, if you don't have that hydrochloric acid to break those bonds down, then you're not going to absorb it as well. Acidic, and you know, a lot of people like to cook in cast iron, but things like acids like tomatoes and that should not be cooked in cast iron. Better to use an enamel-lined pot. You can still use enamel-lined cast iron because then you're not going to be, again, that metallic iron is not one that is broken down easily. So herbal supplements for increasing iron, alfalfa. If you take alfalfa tablets, you can take 12 per day and come up with a good, easily absorbed supplement. Yellow dock is another way. It's recommended, yellow dock has been recommended for menstruating women to help with energy, and that's because it's high in iron. Stinging nettle leaves is, you make a decoction with the leaves and hot water to extract it, and then you drink a quart of this decoction daily. This is really wonderful for men because stinging nettle also helps the prostate. And blackstrap molasses is a very good supplement to help with iron. Now, other sources, we talked about liver, beef, and lamb, egg yolks. A lot of people eat egg white omelets, and they're missing out on the greater part of the nutrition. So dark leafy greens, dark chocolate, squash and pumpkin seeds, oysters, clams, scallops. Now, not oyster shells, or clam shells. We're talking about the actual food inside those shells. White beans and lentils, artichokes, nuts, cashew, pine, hazelnut, almond. Those are actually excellent sources of iron. So let's talk about our friend magnesium now. Magnesium is one of the critical elements needed to utilize calcium, and the ideal ratio of these minerals is 2 to 1. Now, most of your supplements is 1/4 magnesium to 3/4 calcium, totally out of balance. You need 2 to 1 if you're doing a calcium supplement, and it's ridiculous that the industry doesn't tell you what you need, and it creates the wrong formulations. Now, that supplement that I referred to before, skeletal strength, is actually disbalanced. It's 2 to 1. So many people don't need calcium, but they do need magnesium in order to utilize calcium. And magnesium deficiency is common. It's like 75% or more. So 50 to 60% of it is stored in the bones, and magnesium is used in over 300 enzymatic reactions, which is why so many symptoms can occur from just plain magnesium deficiency. So we talked briefly about muscle tone and magnesium. If you're having cramping, you might consider there is a way to make what's called magnesium oil, where you can spray it on your body and uptake it into the skin. This is one way, and it does seem to help, but it's not going to help the deep tissue. Calcium ions make muscles contract, and magnesium ions help muscles relax. You really need to understand that for better health, and you can make better choices. So if you're dealing with muscle spasms or tension, baby's colic and spastic bowel conditions may be a sign of deficiency, as can twitching and tics and tremors, or problems like stiff neck, whiplash, or TMJ. So studies also show that migraine sufferers, is again another area where we have tense, tight muscles, like in the upper neck, from working on a computer or straining our upper muscles in some way. And often taking magnesium can help that. So magnesium and the nervous system. Deficiency can cause hypersensitivity, nervousness, and insomnia. Symptoms include the inability to sleep deeply, being disturbed by small noises or minor irritations, feeling nervous or exhausted, and suffering from anxiety disorders like obsessive compulsive disorder. So oftentimes people will take calcium, but they ignore the fact that their body really needs magnesium. Now, I have found that the best form is Magnesium L3n8, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and why I think it's really an important element. It helps with memory and concentration. Extra magnesium, along with B complex vitamins and other nutrients, can also be helpful in various mood disorders and mental problems, including depression, autism, schizophrenia, Tourette's syndrome, and PTSD. So I have a whole video on the nervous system and the needs of the nervous system, and I will link that in the description below as well. Please get informed, understand how your body works. Now, here's the Magnesium L3n8 product that my husband takes and has found it to be invaluable. It is a wonderful source of magnesium that doesn't cause the bowel to react. So if you have, sensitive bowel issues, this is great. It was researched at MIT and found to be the first magnesium to be able to cross the blood-brain barrier. So, you worry a lot, and oftentimes relaxation is what the brain needs. And when you add Gotu-kola aerial parts, bacopa leaf extract, and ginkgo, these are all time-honored herbs that support circulation and cognitive health. And that's what you get with this wonderful supplement. So might look into it, do your own research, find out if Magnesium L3n8 is a good option for you. It certainly was for my husband. So let's talk a little more about magnesium in circulation. Magnesium helps to lower blood pressure. We have these calcium channel blockers and that. Well, yeah, a natural calcium channel blocker is magnesium. So you use it along with K2, and it actually can help prevent calcium deposits in the arteries. And all of this has been well studied. These studies show that it has the possibility of preventing heart attacks, ease angina, reduce arrhythmia, tachycardia, heart fibrillation, and palpitations. And it can easily be had through proper eating. If you do bone broth, you're going to get both calcium and magnesium. You can strengthen the heart with your good food choices, and maybe you do need supplementation early on until you get your diet regulated. Magnesium aids recovery from congestive heart failure, and it can support heart valve function. Now, large doses of magnesium have a laxative action. Think of milk of magnesia. That if you were constipated, that's what you took, was milk of magnesia. So laxative forms of magnesium are magnesium sulfate, like an Epsom salt. Now, if you do a foot bath of Epsom salt, that doesn't affect the bowel, but it does create an uptake of magnesium. So that is really a recommended source if you're tense and you want to relax a bit. Take a nice warm foot bath with a cup of Epsom salt. Magnesium hydroxide and magnesium citrate can also affect the bowel. Now, magnesium and vitamin C may improve bowel tone for people dependent on laxatives. So, you take a little bit and you're okay. You take a little bit and you're okay. And you take a little bit more and you end up in a laxative state. You just back off. So that's the proper dosage of magnesium, is you take it until you shouldn't take it, take that amount anymore, and then you back down. So colic infants may be due to magnesium deficiency. So if the mother is nursing the infant and she takes magnesium L3n8, it can help that baby and maybe lessen the colic symptoms. So here's some other indications. Magnesium with malic acid has been helpful for fibromyalgia because it is more geared to the muscles. Magnesium with B complex and C is important for energy production in the mitochondria. PMS is often eased by taking magnesium with B6. So again, it needs that B6 for the transport system to get it where it needs to go. And of course, we know that kidney stones are often calcium deposits, and magnesium may very well help with preventing those. It also is helpful for bedwetting children along with corn silk. Many holistic vets use corn silk, and it helps the animals from frequent urination. Excuse me. Now the really dumb amount for adult males is 400 milligrams per day, while the those amounts for females is only 310, which is absurdly low. You need minimum of 500 milligrams per day in balance. And if you're taking a calcium supplement, you need even more. If you're getting an optimal intake of calcium between 1,500 and 2,500, you would need 750 to 1,250 milligrams of magnesium. So supplementation for magnesium for most people should be a minimum 400, usually double, 800 milligrams per day. So here's the yummy part. Cocoa powder is a good source of magnesium. So people who have chocolate cravings, might be because you need more magnesium in your diet. But green leafy vegetables, having it every day is a really important source. Kale, spinach, all those wonderful green leafy vegetables, throw them in a smoothie, but get them in. They come also in dried form, and if you have a good source that works with organic, then you're going to get some healthy nutrition. Start your day off right with a good smoothie. So bran, rice, wheat, and oat. This is the outer layer of those. So you don't get it in quick oats or instant rice, because that doesn't include any bran. Now, squash, pumpkin, and watermelon seeds. Now, a lot of people, you can't take a lot of watermelon seeds, especially if you have gallbladder problems. But squash and pumpkin seeds are very helpful. Flax, sesame, and sunflower seeds are wonderful. You can make up trail mix and add in a few Brazil nuts, almonds, and cashews. And of course, molasses. We've talked about the importance of healthy nutrition with molasses. It's a really beneficial supplement. Phosphorus. Now, this is one of those NKP elements. Its bones and teeth are composed primarily of calcium phosphate, and making phosphorus another major mineral needed for the body's structure. It is also used in energy production in the cells as adenosine triphosphate, so that's ATP. Soda pop often contains phosphates, which rob the body of calcium and magnesium. So it's not a good source of phosphorus. Raw milk and seeds are good dietary sources. Supplementation with phosphorus is not really necessary because, most people get it in their diet. However, there are some people that need it, and because they're not eating a healthy diet. So two major electrolytes are sodium and potassium. Now these are the other elements that people are heavy into. And the reason a lot of people will take sports drinks and what a industry that is. So sodium is an important macro mineral needed for electrolyte balance, hydration, and nerve function. Now, we talked about this when we talked about the salts earlier, and sea salt, adding a pinch of sea salt to water is really an excellent electrolyte support. So it's important for nutrient delivery to the cells. It is the same column of the periodic table as potassium, and sodium is concentrated in the extracellular fluid, the blood and the lymph. Going back to that diagram I did of the transport system, you'll see how it is important for the extracellular fluid to be able to do the push-pull of the sodium-potassium pump. So potassium and sodium are really important to have in balance. Potassium works with the sodium to maintain electrolyte balance. It is also involved in energy production, nerve function, and heart function. It's important for transport of cellular waste. So that's how the lymph dumps the bad cells, the dead cells. And if this pump isn't working properly, then you circulate these potentially cancerous cells throughout the body. So potassium is concentrated inside the cells and maintained by the sodium potassium pump. So it's a push-pull system between the two. And celery, munching on celery is an excellent source. Parsley is good. Your bitter herbs are very, very balanced with sodium and potassium. Electrolyte deficiency conditions water retention. Your sodium potassium pump isn't working properly because you're retaining fluid, and confusion, fatigue, muscle twitching, cramps and spasms, high blood pressure, kidney problems, dehydration, allergies. Oh my goodness, all the people that deal with allergies this time of the year because they're not drinking water and they're drinking soda pop, which is affecting the phosphorus part of the balance. And they're sweating, and so the electrolytes are lost through that. There are some wonderful supplements that is used. One that I go to is called Soul Stick Revive. It's a great balance that supports the electrolytes. It has no dyes, no sugars, no coloring agents in it, no junk. Read the side effects before you drink Pedialyte. I cannot tell you what a marketing scheme that was and how ill-informed people are about these horrible drinks. Sugar is the main thing. It can really disrupt your sugar balance. It's not a good food. Natural ideas include the celery juice, with parsley and cranberry juice to flavor it. Oranges help children to recover, and water with a pinch of sea salt I mentioned before. Or if you want to try the yummy taste of the Soul Stick Revive, again, that will be in the description below where you can get a coupon for that. So foods high in sodium and potassium. Sodium is salt, baking soda, bouillon cubes, soup, soy sauce, and salad dressings, yeast extract, salami, bacon, and cured meat, sun-dried tomatoes, cheese, snack foods, pickled foods, saltwater crab. So you can see how we can throw ourselves off of sodium because there's a lot of food that people eat that are in that grouping. And then you have the potassium, which are dried herbs, avocados, paprika and chili powder, cocoa powder, dried apricots, and raisins. So you want to do a little bit of salt in your water and eat a couple of apricots or raisins. Then you can balance out that sodium potassium. Pistachios, seeds like pumpkin, squash, and flax, fish like pompano, salmon, and tuna, beans, and dates. Dates are a wonderful source of potassium. And we talked about the healthy salt. I use Redmond Sea Salt. It's mined here in the United States, or not exactly the United States, but North America. It's actually mined in Canada. And fabulous source. It has guaranteed levels of calcium, copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, and zinc. So try some Redmond salt yourself. It's a wonderful salt, tastes delicious. So they aren't white and they aren't purified, but when you purify and sanitize, you eliminate the minerals that we're talking about that we need. When you eat a healthy salt, it has a small amount of usable iodine, not a bound iodine. And iodine is so important for our thyroid. So some therapeutic uses for salt: take a pinch of salt with water about 15 to 20 minutes prior to eating to assist with the hydrochloric acid production. And if you suffer from respiratory allergies, more water with a little bit of salt can help. You can swish and gargle. If you have any little sores in your mouth, it can be used as a sinus wash with a neti pot. The iodine in the natural salt aids the thyroid and immune system. A lot of people eat foods that are high in bromide, like white flour products, and bromide, fluoride, and chlorine all disrupt the ability for the thyroid to uptake iodine. They are bullies compared to iodine. And they can lock in and stay there and interrupt the ability for the body to uptake. So I never recommend chlorine. I am appalled at all the people that tell you to sanitize with chlorine. It's a toxin. Shouldn't be in anybody's home as far as I'm concerned. And fluoride is the same thing. It should never have been put in our water. Use every opportunity to eliminate that from your drinking water. Silicone is used in the formation of bones, collagen, cartilage, elastic tissue, the myelin sheath in the nervous system, hair, skin, and fingernails. It helps bones and tissues to be strong and flexible rather than brittle. When silica is added to iron, it creates steel. Now, iron is brittle and it can crack. If you have silica added to that iron, you have something that is more flexible. It protects against the collection of aluminum in the brain. Excuse me. And it stimulates cell metabolism and may even aid the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is what helps regulate melatonin, and very important for sleep issues and energy and feeling good, like serotonin is what melatonin actually, during the day you have serotonin, and then toward evening it turns into melatonin. And the pineal gland is responsible for doing that. So now, silicon deficiencies, the indications are brittle finger and toenails, frizzy hair, split ends, skin lacks luster, lack of resilience in bones and joints, and more easily damaged or broken. I think as we age, we become silicon deficient. And if we had more flexibility and more silicon in our diet, we would, our bones and our joints would be much better off. If the nervous system is like you're scared at every turn, that is considered a silicon deficiency. And pineal gland weakness, we talked a little bit about the responsibility of the pineal gland and other weak muscle conditions. So you might look into silicon. Some of the sources, it is likely that most people aren't getting enough, as it primarily is the chewy parts of food, such as peeling. So when you eat an apple, eat all of the apple. And I like it, I only buy organic. So I also like to include 3 or 4 of the seeds and chew on them, and eat the peelings, because when you discard these, you are actually discarding silica. Another part is the skin of the cucumber. So juice the cucumber, skin and all, and you'll be getting a good source of silica in that. Other sources are green beans, brown rice, leafy greens, and lentils. Herbs high in silica, it's horsetail, dulse, barley grass, oat straw, and wheatgrass. Now, I recently did a class on dulse. It talks about the supplement that I use to help regrow my hair. After I had COVID, I lost 50% of my hair. And between that and bone broth or collagen, when I wasn't able to get the bone broth or make the bone broth, I used collagen. It is a wonderful source to help me to regrow my hair. So I want to thank you for taking the time today. These classes are a little bit longer as my voice is starting to diminish even more. And that's something I got from COVID too. And in the process of helping my voice to come back. So I want to thank you for taking the time to learn about minerals and the importance of them for your better health. I hope you enjoyed this class and that you do a thumbs up and comment. Subscribe to my channel. There's a lot of interesting things. I've done a plethora of classes that are much shorter. This is only a once a month class, where some of my classes are within 20 minutes and a lot of my classes now are within 5 minutes. So just take a little bit of time, learn how your body works, because you know, you can't depend on other people to give you good advice on what your body needs when it's right inside you. Um, you know what you need. And we know when we don't eat something that is good for us, our body will let us know. So I look forward to the next time that I do this class. Episode 5 will be about trace minerals and the importance of these little micro minerals and how they affect our body, and that their impact is not so little, that we actually need these as much as we need the macro minerals that we talked about today. So until next time, this is Dr. Mary for the health of it.